There we go. Okay. I guess we can go back one. Wait, what? Can I not go back one? Okay. So I think, like, this is the stuff I was required to teach you. This is the stuff that I probably should teach you, starting at binary search, and then going through. Time was kind of a little bit optional because I didn't trust any of you to actually show up that day, and a bunch of you didn't. And then merge sort is like super mandatory, but I'm not supposed to put it on the final because it's hard or confusing or something, right? These last two I can teach whatever you want, and if you were in Professor Jed Rumbold's class, he'd teach you something cool like Beautiful Soup, where you can like take content off a website. I'm going to teach you about the command line because I know you like that so much. So with apologies to Jose and Ming, who've already seen this content, here's Neovim, my favorite text editor. Why am I teaching you this? So probably you should all hate this. And you should hate it because it's like hard and you like have to think and you can't use the mouse. There's not like pretty pictures, there's not menus. But as my president, John F. Kennedy, once said, we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are difficult. And then he didn't sign the Civil Rights Act and invaded Vietnam. So he's a good role model. Where was I going with that? You should sign the Civil Rights Act and not invade Vietnam. That's my recommendation. Okay, this is also yoinked from the sort of scientific computing class that originally was going to be a freestanding class and is now kind of a college colloquium and also serves as backline content for all my other classes because there's just some stuff I think you should all know, right? So here is the difference between Neovim and VS Code. And you all have seen me open VS Code a few times in this class and instantly shriek in horror. Ah! And why did I do that? I don't know. Isn't there like AI in here or something? Probably. I might have it turned off in this one. Why is there an exclamation point there?
It does that sometimes.
Yeah, and like I don't really know what this like. Do I really want to run and debug? All these buttons. Oh my gosh. I'm so sleepy. What's it? I don't want to download an update. I'll show the automatic Python configuration. Have I convinced you this is bad yet? I'll keep trying. Let's look at the release notes. What they opened in the same text. Wait, what's happening? Okay, so this is bad, right? We all understand that, right? Here's a little video. This video is created by a human, but most importantly, Yannick Burr is hired by Posit. And Posit are the people that make Posit Cloud and RStudio. And for a good number of years, the only IDE people were really using in college other than VS Code was RStudio. And the people that made RStudio, and it's the only product they sell, paid Yannick to make a 12-minute video about why you shouldn't use RStudio or VS Code. So you should watch this sometime. A coffee? I don't know what the coffee is. But anyways, this is my person on YouTube I found that I direct students to if they want to be convinced that they should learn Neovim. If I click into here, we can look at, and this is muted, so hopefully I'm not going to get banned by YouTube. The central argument here that's introduced is if you ever want to do something on your computer, it is quite likely you're going to be told to do it at the command line in some tutorial somewhere. And why do we use the command line for tutorials? Because it's the same on everyone's computer. You can just type things in and then they work. Now, this is not true for VS Code because even just those of us in this class, our VS Code configurations are different and I can't always figure out why your own personal VS Code is not working versus my VS Code is not working. And sometimes those aren't even the same thing. So, Neovim is free. VS Code is currently free and is likely to be free for the foreseeable future. But it's the free version of Visual Studio, which Microsoft historically charged large amounts of money for and was the only way to develop high-performance code on a Windows device. Neovim is very widely available, which means that anyone in the universe can install it. You can just look it up, I guess. I don't know. If you're on Mac, I think you have it already. I think if you just open the terminal and type VI, you'll get Vim, which is basically the same thing as Neovim. I don't care about the difference. And then there's this other thing that happens not too often. But sometimes, especially when you're doing like science, science rules, Bill Nye, right? Like sometimes when you're doing science, you need like a lot of compute power. And so you work on a remote cluster. And one of the times that you work on let's authorize Cloud Shell. One way you work on a remote cluster is sometimes you use, for example, Google Cloud Platform, which powers roughly 25% of the internet, and then another 25% is Microsoft Azure, and another 50% is Amazon, and there's basically no exceptions. Now, if I were to connect, which I don't know if it'll successfully work this morning because I'm on an academic license, which means I only get to connect when no one else is using the servers. If I were to able to successfully connect to a remote Google server, it would have VI installed on it, and I would be able to use that directly, but I would not necessarily be able to use VS Code directly on a remote Google server. So it's not really provisioning my Cloud Shell machine. It's trying to trick me into thinking it is. Neovim is highly customizable. I don't customize my stuff because I'm a teacher, and you all see what I do. Some of you have probably customized your VS Code. Do any of you have the little cats and dogs that walk across the top of the screen? Do any of you do that? Okay, fine. Hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I assumed you just all knew about it. VS Code pets.
A snake?
Maybe.
Put Clippy in your code editor.
Yeah. Install this extension from the VS Code Marketplace. Did it happen? Hold on. VS Pets. Install. It's installing. Oh, look, there's an update. I think I'm making the point here, right? This is okay. Okay. How do I use it? Control-Shift-P. Start pet coding section. VS dash code. This is do you see how hard this is to see? Okay, fine. I'll close my integrated terminal. Okay. VS Code pets start. This is not working. I don't know how this works. Right, it was VS Code pets. No! Ah! Add a lot of pets? No, I don't want that to happen. I don't know, somehow you can add pets here. You all figure it out. You're the one that we're interested in this. VS Code dash pets dot start. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how VS Code works. Does it not say in here anywhere? Someone figure this out and then tell me.
Run it.
VS Code pets. Wait, do I just do it here? Oh! See? The cat's waving to me, right? See, do you see the little cat? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to uninstall that. Okay. Cool, that was fun. So anyways, you can customize things. Neovim is eternal and unchanging. It is older than any modern computer. It is older than Microsoft. It is older than Apple. It might be older than IBM. I think it was developed at AT&T Bell Labs in the early days of computers, right? People didn't know they were different than phones. So AT&T made all of them. And the reason I'm teaching it to you, and I've had some chats with other people in academia about this, is should we really be teaching students how to type? And I think, like, you all know how much I love monkey type, right? I'm a known monkey type. It's time for a monkey type break. Okay. Other large, but C also right, old, much, let, make, same, person, new, little, at, between, while, home, more, again, would, only, turn, right. Oh, it's repeating words. Wow, this is so long. So, like, we all love monkey type, right? And I probably shouldn't teach you necessarily, or maybe I should, right? Like, or maybe someone should teach you, like, where to place your hands on the keyboard, and, like, maybe a theoretical model of how to, like, interact physically with the 3D space that you're typing in, right? I don't necessarily find that academically interesting. I think that, like, probably, like, a piano teacher or something should teach you that, right? Like, I learned how to move my hands on a keyboard from a piano teacher. Neovim is different because, to me, the things that you type in Neovim are about how you think. And specifically, they're about how you think in terms of the text in a file not just being a sequence of characters in a row. Because the text in a file doesn't just have to be a string. It looks like a string, and we often perceive it as a string. But it can be a lot more sophisticated than that, and actually it can be something a lot more like JSON, which is something we're familiar with. The text in Neovim is much closer to being a list of strings. And this is a pretty interesting way to think about the text you're writing, because you can sort of drag and drop around different lines in different places. You can cut lines in half without going on to the next line, things of this nature. So there's a lot of things that interact with the text vertically and horizontally. And to me, this is sort of a more sophisticated way to think about the text that you're writing. I separately like that it is terminal-based because I think getting students to move away from using the mouse to solve your problems and having to sort of cognitively recall what steps you have to take in sort of a programmatic or scripting approach to solving problems is a good thing to do. And why is that a good thing to do? It's a good thing to do so you can automate work in the future. A lot of the work I did in grad school is I would write a little tiny Python script that solved part of a problem. And then I would run it 500 times, and I would think, wait a minute, why did I manually run the same thing 500 times? And then I would write a script that runs that script. And then I would write a script that prepares some files for that script to run and so on. And you build up this sort of like nested layer of automation, and at some point you have a research tool, right? In order to build up to the point of using those research tools, I think it is quite hard to work in VS Code. I think you want to be working in the command line, because not necessarily everything you're going to be using is going to be just written in Python, or just running on your own computer. It might be running on Google. I wonder if Google finished provisioning me yet. Here we go. So we can open this in new window. I don't think I have any files here. Apparently I do. PNSQC. Well, I gave a talk off of this. So if we want to, for example, look at the contents of file counter.v, you could say nvim pnsqc counter.v. Ooh, we don't have Neovim. Do we have vi? There we go. And this is a way to use a text-based editor on a computer owned by someone else. These are Google. Why do we love Google? Because every time we're using their remote devices for this, they're not using them to write an AI overview on a search engine query, right? So we're stealing from the thieves, right? They call us Robin Hood. And what is this? Oh, this is a programming language other than Python. This is called Verilog. It's a hardware description language. You don't have to know Verilog ever. But there's sort of first-class support for it in VI built in, and I can come in here and I could do some edits. Obvious thing to do would just be to put in some new lines in a few places. And then I can save and exit. And it's really cool. So there's an example of something you can do with Neovim. Okay. So you all have met students, right?
Yeah.
Students like to talk about like how hard their classes are and how their teachers are giving them too much homework. I I think they like to show up in their advising meetings and ask to take easier classes, which, by the way, if I'm your advisor, don't do that. You have to trick me into telling you what the easy classes are, right? Because if you ask me directly, I'll detect what's happening and suggest a bunch of really hard classes for you, right? And so I get it, right? I also like doing easier things more than hard things. But doing easy things instead of hard things doesn't build character, right? And so, and also if you do a bunch of really hard things, eventually they stop seeming as hard. And that's the exercise science conception of progressive overload, right? So you can go ask Brandy Lowe Lazzarini over in the exercise and health science department about that. Probably don't do that. That was a fake suggestion. Does anyone in here play sports? You all know about progressive overload, right?
Yeah.
That's how you get jacked, right? Yeah. Don't just always look for the easiest way to do things. I think in the fullness of time, if you use Neovim, it will be better for you and easier, and now I use it. But it was harder to learn, but now my life is better because I know how to use it. We're going to have a running example. This running example is organized around a Math 150 problem, which is a piecewise function. This was something I just used as the motivating example for sort of all of the Python content I teach in this scientific computing context. And I'm just going to show you how I'm going to use Neovim to just sort of solve a mathematical problem. You all love taxes, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. No one in here thinks taxation is theft?
It's not that.
It's not theft. And it's not theft because private property is theft and taxation is the negation of private property. Right, obviously. So apparently these, which I found some time ago and I haven't checked recently, there might have been a new tax season since this. These are the marginal tax rates in the United States, which a lot of people don't know that that's the world's greatest country, right? So these are therefore the world's greatest tax rates. If you make $1, you have to pay 10% on it. But if you make $10,000, you have to pay 15% on those higher taxes. And so this was the sort of motivating example we wrote here, and there's a lot of really terrible ways to write this, but here is one. So I'm going to take this code here, and then we're going to put it in the terminal, because I know you all love the terminal. That's why I'm showing it to you. Wait, zoom in. Okay. And let's on F11 this and put it over there. Okay, so I am going to set up a local environment. Let's see, we'll call this CS1. Okay. So I have my own little place in the terminal, and I'm going to use Neovim there. Now, whenever VS Code opens up, you are probably not thinking about which file or folder it is currently based in. But in fact, there is always some folder VS Code is based in. It's just not always obvious to you which one opens. So, if this window is here, like I don't know what happens. It seems scary. Do I have any documents? Is there anything on this computer you're allowed to see? Maybe, I don't know. Temp CS1. So VS Code also has a notion of being present in some directory. It's just obscured. And I think it's obscured so that VS Code feels easier to use, perhaps if you have a background in Microsoft Word or Google Docs and spreadsheets. I don't know. I don't know why this decision was made. Neovim does not obscure that because you use it from the command line, which means you use it from a fixed location. So I'm going to go ahead and do nvim here. If you're following along on your own device, if you're on Windows, you can install this at the link that I put in the slides. If you're on Mac, you can probably just type vi and it'll work. I'm going to make something called tax.py. And then I am going to copy-paste the text in. Now, it will probably be extremely non-obvious how to do this initially. So let's go ahead and start over. Okay, so I have no tax.py. I'm going to type the name of my command. I'm going to type the name of my file. And then the first thing you do is you start frantically mashing the keyboard and seeing what happens. So for example, if I type hello world, that doesn't work very well. And the reason for that is when we first enter Neovim, we are in a mode. I think I need to move over here. Versus VS Code. I think when I open, do I still have VS Code open? Well, I don't know. This is kind of a silly example, too. If you start typing here, I guess it's like confusing that maybe nothing is happening. I don't know. If you type new file and then make a Python file, and then you start typing, it sort of works immediately. In Neovim, or Vim, when you start working, you're initially in command mode, which is not the same as type mode. Command mode is much closer to the VS Code example of opening file or editor selection or so on. Because it's terminal-based and there's no mouse, everything we want to do, we have to issue some command to do it. So, for example, I can press the colon key, which usually prefixes commands. Oh, no, it's off the bottom of the screen. Wait, I have an idea. Maybe this will fit on the screen completely? I think that's okay. For example, I can save a file as something else. This is the tax brackets. The ones I was working with are for single people. Anyone love Beyonce, All the Single Ladies?
Whoa.
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it, right? Yeah. So I can save this as some other file name, and that will change the name of the file. I can quit. I can, I don't know. Those are the things I do. So there's probably other stuff you can do. But all of those are not related to actually editing the text in the file. So how are we going to work with this? Oh, look, my Mac OS picture went away.
Is there a significant difference between Vim and Neovim in terms of...
No. Yeah, well, it depends on who you ask. I often use both and forget which one I'm using. But I use default configurations on both. I think Neovim is more customizable. Neovim is recommended by that video I showed you. That's why I switched to it. So we're going to work with modes. The first mode we're going to work with, and I accidentally entered visual mode over here, I think, is we're going to enter insert mode. So if I type, I don't know, yes, that doesn't show up. But if I press the I and look at the bottom of the screen here, I'm going to press an I on my keyboard. This one right here. When I press that button, oops. Oh no, I have to run it again because I don't know what I did. Okay. Okay. When I press the I on my keyboard, there we go. It changes to saying insert. And then once I'm in insert mode, then I can type merrily, type whatever I want. One of the things that I can type is I can sort of copy paste in that code I had earlier. In my command line, in order to copy paste, I can't necessarily just use Control-C and Control-V. I have to use Control-Shift-V, and I think that's probably what you'll have to use as well. The other option, do I want to delete all of these manually? I'm holding down backspace because I haven't taught us how to more sophisticatedly delete things yet. There's better ways to delete things in here. I think you can always do the old right-click paste, and no one can stop you from doing that, but someone should. Right, someone should stop you from doing that. I'm in insert mode. I copied some text in, and now what do I want to do? Well, usually the thing I want to do after this, I've done some insert, I've put in the piecewise. Oh, we can do the much simpler piecewise function. That's too complicated. What we can do now is we can save this code and exit Neo. And so how am I going to do that? Well, I'm currently in insert mode, and to get out of insert mode, I'm going to press a key that doesn't ever show up as text. I'm going to press the escape key, which if I'm typing over here, like I am about to press escape, it does something, I guess. I think it cleared the text. But it doesn't show up as a printing character, right? So it is reasonable to use escape in this context. And so now that I'm escaped, I'm back into command mode. And I can do a variety of things. I can go back into insert mode, for example, and I can write a comment. I can once again escape out of insert mode, and then I can also save and exit. And the way I usually save and exit is by using Command X, which saves and exits at the same time. We can also use W, typical W, right? We love W's. We can also use W to write the file. Let me show you something a little cool. This is showed up in VS Code as well. So I wrote those files to the file system. They exist now. There's nothing in this one because I didn't write anything to this file, but I did open it in Neovim. So it exists here as a file. And you're all aware this is cool? We can tell this is cool? I'm worried it's not getting across that it's cool, but that's okay. You'll thank me when you're older. That's not true. You'll always be annoyed with this lecture till the end of time. Okay. So I often save my work, and let me show you another example. We'll go back in insert mode. I'm going to delete this line, and I'm going to press escape. I'm going to press colon, and I'm going to press W. Then I will press enter, and that will write the file. We see the file is written. And then if we come over here to VS Code, we'll see, oh, look, the comment's gone. The comment vanished. It went to the shadow realm from whence it came, right? And so whenever you use the :W command, you're writing the file. But we can also save and exit, and that gets us back to the command line, which is where we want to be, because the command line is our favorite place. So I do :X, and that brings me back to the command line. When I do that, I'm going to introduce one command today, and the purpose of today's class was not to introduce the command line. I'm going to type ls, and this is going to list the files in my directory, and we will see that those are the same files that show up here in Explorer and VS Code. So there is a symmetry to what the results of this command and looking in the Explorer over here. Now, we can do a lot of the things we would typically do with Python with this file we just wrote. So for example, I can run Python. I can import tax.py. Yeah, wait, no. I can import tax. And when I import tax, that's sort of the same thing as like importing PGL, which I think won't work because I don't have one locally. But what else have we imported? We've imported random, for example, right? So I wrote a file called tax, and now I can import that file into Python. And inside tax, there's a function called single tax, and we can compute how much tax you're going to make if you make the expected salary for a new computer science major in the United States in 2025. Now, I don't think any of you are graduating this year, but it's the best I can do. And so your pay will be approximately $80,000 a year, and hopefully more than that by the time you graduate. And if we compute the tax.single tax of that, wait, no, I should just put pay in there. Do you know how hard it is to count 4 zeros in a row? I have no idea what the difference between 4 and 5 zeros is, right? I don't know how many fingers I have because it just sort of like gets blurry in the middle and then there's like more at the end, right? And so if you, a God-fearing American, accept a typical starting salary computer science job, you will get to donate $15,771.01 to the United States, which it will use 1% of that to pay for food stamps and 99% to pay for things that I'm not allowed to talk about in class. And so this is cool and good and fun. And this is how I use Python to solve mathematical problems. What else can we do? I don't know. Cool stuff. It can be more fun to use this sort of directly from the command line. So if we open nvim tax.py, one other thing we can do is we can go to the end of the file. And going to the end of the file is going to introduce something that I'm going to call movement commands. At this point in time, I'm going to pull up something else over here, which is, where are you? Commands. Neovim. Sort of all of these commands on the left side of the screen. Wow, that's so small. Is that better? Okay. All of these commands enable us to sort of move and zip around files. And so we can sort of use some of them. I want to use single tax to compute some tax values, so I'm going to jump to the end of the file. I'm going to do that using Shift G, which is kind of cool. If I type G twice, it takes me to the first line. And if I type Shift G, it takes me to the last line. Do that in VS Code, right? You're going to be scrolling around in your files, and those files are going to be big. Remember when we were working with EnglishWords.py, or whatever it was called English.py, and the file was enormous, and I was like scrolling through it? You can just press one key on your keyboard in Vim and just teleport to the end of the file. I could enter insert mode here and then do a bunch of new lines or something, but I'm actually going to introduce another one. If I press O, it's O because you say O when you see it. It gives me a new line. Okay, here we'll go back. So I'm going to press O. What's going to happen? The cursor is going to move to a new line and create a new line all at the same time. Watch this. Do that in VS Code. You can't do that in VS Code. That's too much cooler than anything VS Code does. Okay, and then what are we going to do? We're going to print single tax of pay. And pay is going to be $80,000. When I'm done with insert, I press escape, :X. So do you all go to the Quad Center? Do any of you know Indy in the Quad Center? Indy says I'm a loser for doing :X, and I don't know why that is. Indy says I have to type capital Z twice. I don't know why this is. So if any of you run into Indy and you can get an explanation out of Indy, that's fine. But anyways, apparently I'm not very cool because I don't do Shift Z, Shift Z. So I'm going to hold down Shift and press Z twice. And that's also going to save an exit, apparently. I don't know. The things you do to impress Indy, right? And now I can run this code. I can run Python 3 tax.py, and it will print out my expected salary. Now, I know you're like, can't I do that already in VS Code? Yeah, you totally can, right? I can just run this the exact same way, and it does the exact same thing. And in fact, perhaps this should look conspicuously similar to you. Wait, was VS Code just using the terminal under the hood the entire time? That can't be right. We're scared of the terminal. It's true, we tricked you. I thought we should just make you use the terminal, and everyone was like, no, you have to be nice to the first years. And I was like, some of them are second years. That's what I said. Okay. We can do some other really cool things in here. So I'm going to, for example, jump to the last line with Shift G. And then I'm going to alter this to, instead of taking the single tax of pay, I'm going to instead allow myself to type something in. Ooh, it's a programmable program. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to use input. Actually, we'll leave pay here. And I'm going to introduce a new command. So you can also do deletion without exiting command mode. So I'm going to type the D command, which stands for delete, and watch some stuff will pop up at the bottom of my screen. Is it off the screen again? It is a little bit. Why is it so wide? Oh no! Undo. I just pressed U, and that undid whatever it was that I did. And I don't know what that was. Okay. So I'm going to move here, and I'm going to press D. And you see the cursor kind of changed a little bit? And I'm going to combine the command delete, which tells VI to do something. And I'm going to combine it with the movement command, which is like G or O. I'm going to combine it with the movement command E, which is going to move to the end of the word. So if I type DE, it's going to delete that word, deleting up to the next white space. Then I can enter in insert mode with I, and then I can just take an input here. There are many movement commands. So double G goes to the beginning of file, G goes to the end, $ goes to the end of the line, B goes to a previous word. So this is B. I'm scrolling through to previous words. And then E goes to next word. So it goes to the end of the next word. And these are all enumerated over here. I guess you just saw today that I can type 120 words per minute. I don't know if you have to be able to type fast to be super comfortable with VI. I am dramatically faster at using these movement commands than I am at using the mouse, right? it's just a little bit too easy to type. I think like K is up. I can just type K 6 times and just like know where it's going to go. You can also prefix the movement commands with a number. So J is down, so I can go down 3 lines by typing 3, and then J, and it just jumps around. You would think, or at least I thought before I learned this, that you never need to move exactly 3 lines down. Like you'd be like, oh, I never do that. And then you learn the commands and you can just type them without taking your hands off your keyboard and going over and finding your mouse and like moving it around and figuring out where the cursor is. For example, like where's the cursor on my screen right now? If I start using the mouse, where's it going to be? I don't know. Like why do I have to remember that? I know where the cursor is in Neovim. It's on the 0, right? But if I want to, for example, update this input, then it's just like, how do I even get there? Like, so I like find my cursor's over there, and I like come over here and I click or something. That's terrible. But I can go directly up to tax, and then I can come directly down to input with 2 characters at a time. This is, I would like to reiterate, this is really cool. In case we're not sure, this is really cool. Okay, so I'm going to take this code and I'm going to run it, and then we will get some more examples of how we can use Neovim. Does anyone have any comments on this code that doesn't already know the answer before I try and run it?
No.
You have no comments? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna accept pay as an input. Oh, we can put something in here. Type in your number of filthy, dirty cash money. Dirty cash money. Wow, this is hard to type. Never mind. We'll just say filthy, dirty cash. Okay. We'll hit it with a smiley face. Okay. I'm in insert mode, so I'm going to press escape to get out of insert mode. I look around and I see if there's any indies around. I don't see any indies, so I get to use :X. All right. And then I can run that code the same way I run everything else. I can run Python 3 tax.py. It asks me to type in the number of my filthy, dirty cash, smiley face. I am a teacher, so I make federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Oh, sorry, $7.35. I stole a dime from the federal government there. Okay. So this is how much I make per year. Oh no! Oh no, there's a problem with my code. I hope someone in this classroom knows Python and can tell me how to fix this code. What's happening here? We've all seen error codes before, right? So this is not stressful or alarming to us. Y'all are stressing me out. Okay.
It's unhappy.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, someone's comparing stirs and ints.
Why would you ever do that? Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. That's what the computer says. Wait, does this mean the computer's intelligent?
It's as about as intelligent as me.
Don't say that. Or, I mean, you can say whatever you want. Free speech. Because we live in the world's greatest country, right? United States of America, right? Everyone's recording this, right? Okay. So, fun fact. We can, look at pay, and we can also... You all know this because you just did Adventure. You can check the type of pay. Wait, no. How much do I make? I am... Some people call him Jeff. I don't. I call him Daddy Bezos, and he makes $1 trillion a year. Let's see. That's 1,000. That's 1,000,000. That's 1 billion. That's 1 trillion. Okay. So slightly more than teachers, but that's good. Oh, wait a minute. This thing was a string the whole time? I feel like you would have. So the return type of input is string, and that's because the things you can type into it are strings, right? Not to worry, I have an ingenious plan. My ingenious plan is I am going to cleverly take this string, and I'm going to turn it into an integer. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I typed in, but oh, that line, look how long that line of code is. It would take me a long time to like scroll to the end of that line, right?
Oh.
I would probably like have to take a nap somewhere around filthy, right? I might have to take another nap after cash, right? If only there was some way to teleport directly to the end of the line. But there's not because I'm in insert mode. So I will just quickly leave insert mode by pressing the little ol' escape key, right? And I will escape the troubles of this world, right? So I escaped the troubles of this world, and now what do I love more than anything else?
Money.
Money, right? So I'm going to use the $sign, and it's going to take me to the end of the line, because money takes you to the end of your life and then no further, right? So I was also thinking about starting a youth group. Do you think? I've been told I have youth pastor energy. And you know who else had youth pastor energy? My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? So like it would make sense that we would all do it together. Yeah. Okay, what was I doing? I think I've offended every single person so far today. Oh, okay, so oh no, I want to put a colon at the end of this. No, not a colon. A parenthesis?
Yeah.
I want to put a parenthesis at the end of this line because I can see if I highlight that parenthesis, it corresponds to the one for input, right? But I need to put another parenthesis here. But if I just type the parenthesis, oh, it did something scary, right? Not to worry, I have a plan. We can go back up. Oop, that was too many. And then we can go over to the end of the line. Do you see how the cursor's like teleporting around? Do you see how cool that is? Do you understand how cool this is? Okay, all right. We're just gonna hit a quick insert angle. Just gonna hit an I, right? That's no problem. Then we close the parenthesis, and then what do? We look around for Indy, right? Did anyone see Indy? Okay, someone walked by that could have been Indy, so I'm gonna do the two Z's. Okay, I think it worked, but I don't know because I don't know anything. I think I have to say Python 3 on this computer. Type in the number of your filthy, dirty cash. Now, because Willamette is a public nonprofit, you can look up the salaries of people that make over a certain amount of money at this university, I think. Willamette University salary nonprofit. Am I going to find it? Okay, here's Nonprofit Explorer. Ooh, I'm getting tired. I might just guess. Oh, here we go. Executive compensation. There you go. So say I'm an executive. Oh no, here it is. Okay. What do we say? So I introduced my second favorite president at the beginning of class, John F. Kennedy, right? That's because my first favorite president is Stephen Thorsett, right? And so we're going to imagine now, for the sake of example, we're Stephen Thorsett and we make $487,093 per year. I don't know what other is. Should I add those together?
That's a lot of work.
It's hard to see. Okay. If you were an executive, you wouldn't be hungry because you could eat money. Okay, 487. I did not say that. Okay. Let's figure out how much in tax my president, Stephen Thorsett, pays per year. $149,058 and 7.78 cents. I believe the IRS just lets you truncate that, but I don't know because, well, I definitely pay my taxes every year. Sometimes some of the details escape my notice. So For the record, I pay taxes every year. Now, I don't pay that many taxes because no teachers make that much money. But that's okay. Is that okay? I'm fine with that, I think is my official position. Okay, and so what were we learning today? I thought I was teaching you all about modal text editors, and for some reason I looked up the salary of the Vice President for Advancement, Shelby Radcliffe. Oh my gosh. Look at all of them. Wait, are none of these people teachers? Oh no, this one is. One of them is a teacher. I'm gonna stop looking at this, I think is the trick. Okay. Okay. So that's how you can use Vim to do cool things. Should I put any other number in here? Everyone likes to make exactly $100,000 a year because it's like a conceptually easy thing. And those people pay $21,000 in tax. If you all decide to not take a CS job, but you want to instead work for Wall Street, do you all love Wall Street? Yeah, I love Wall Street. So I was talking to this company called Jane Street recently. They do like money stuff. They're a research-driven trading firm where curious people work together on deep problems, by which they mean they have a ton of money. Anyways, the position there started at $400,000 a year, which is pretty close to being the president of a private university, right? So, or public? No, we're a private university, but a public nonprofit, I think. Okay. This is what Vim is for. If you're on Windows, I think you can type winget Vim or Neovim, and it will install. The kind of confusing thing about this is my package manager is apt install. I have to type Neovim to install Neovim, but then I have to type nvim to run it, which is a little bit silly. And then the last thing to show is, this is really cool. If you're looking for something to do, like if you have your laptop out on an airplane and you're already listening to Lorna Shore, so you can't watch any videos, but you have your computer out, right? You can do Vim Tutor, and Vim Tutor will teach you how to use Vim while you are listening to the preferred deathcore band of your choice, which is, of course, Lorna Shore. And so this will teach you how to use it. So, for example, when you start using this, you may successfully, relatively naively guess you can use the arrow keys to navigate around. But it'll recommend that you start using J to move down, because if you rest your four fingers here on these keys, these are all the movement keys that you can move around fairly quickly. And they teach you that here as well. I think this is a pretty fun thing to work on. And I taught Vim without teaching this, and then Indy got mad at me, so I'm showing it to you. That's not true. Indy was not mad at me. Indy selflessly and heroically offered me constructive criticism at great personal cost, despite me not deserving it. And so that's Neovim. Okay, I think I taught you Neovim. I have a question. We have class on Friday, right? Yeah, so the allegedly was... Wait, let me turn off the Zoom real quick.